this particular session of the designing the organization for the meaningful experience, we will try to understand what are the components of the employee's experience, the framework for experience, the transformation model, influencing the employee experience, the 5 practices, designing the employee experience in your organization, how can the organizational design improve the employee experience, then the research paper and the references are there. So, there are the different components of the employee experience and these components are basically on the 3 primary spheres are there. The social sphere, the physical sphere and the work sphere is there. When we are talking about the social sphere, it is the interaction of the employees have with the others in their work setting is concerned, maybe with the superior, maybe with the subordinate, maybe with the colleagues and whenever these type of these interactions are there within the organization or maybe with the customers, that is the outside of this organization, if the job profile is like that, then the work sphere is there, that is interaction that is employees having with their assigned tasks are there. Now, basically there are 3 types of the task, unskilled task, semi-skilled task and skilled task. So, therefore, in that case that whatever the work sphere is there, whatever the type of the tasks are there, because the job profile will be having these different types of these tasks are there, and the physical sphere is there, and that is the interaction of the employees having with this tangible environment is there. Here I would like to mention about it is this impact of the light, impact of the space, these all variables that will be come under this physical sphere is there. So, whenever the employee experience, so employee experience is the human interaction with the others, then about the work sphere, that is the what type of the task he is doing, and the physical sphere is there. So, when we are talking about these strategies in the employee's work day, these spheres of interaction often overlap, creating 6 facets of the employee experience. And what are those 6 facets are? First and foremost is that is about the community. So, in the case of this community, there will be the social platforms and the physical workplace will be there. So, these are whatever the activities are performed on this social platform only. So, therefore, in that case whenever we are talking about these the employee experience, it becomes also important, that is what social platform he is using. Similarly, when we are talking about the environment, so environment is having the physical work experience is there, but simultaneously it is overlapping with the tools are there, that is what tools or mechanism he is using. So, these components of the employee experience which are creating the according under the strategy and the culture are concerned. So, whether we are having the social platform strategies, physical workplace strategies or activities and environment, and which will be creating the overall organization's culture is there. Now, let us discuss one by one. So, community is virtually that all of us depend to some degree on interaction with others. It is therefore the surprising that the relationships are created and sustained can influence our individual effectiveness and our perceptions of our organization as a whole. And the goodwill that we generate through these relationships often referred to as the social capital impacts a number of important factors, from the facilitating cross organizational knowledge sharing to boosting individual employee satisfaction. The environment is not only to do organizations need to focus on the design and configuration of the workplace furniture, but they also need to consider the other environmental factors, ambient lighting, the temperature control, noise, ventilation and even office location can notably impact the employee productivity and the experience. For example, the research has shown that is the human error rates the increase when ambient temperatures are set too low or the too high for the comfort levels are there. When we are talking about the physical workplace, experts mention the configuration and the design of the individual and team workspaces as the critical component of the employee experience. Organizations can enhance their workplace by providing the reconfiguration furniture and equipment to accommodate their flexible work teams then the communal spaces that facilitate information flow, then the quiet spaces for this concentration and places where the serendipitous the interactions can occur. So, therefore, it is very important, that is the whatever the physical workplace is there, and it makes it very important in the employees experiences there. I would like to give a very simple example, like in management trainee or the engineer trainee, when he joins the organization and then he reports at the department, then he finds that is the there is a place for him to work, or somebody says it is okay, you can sit here or you can sit there. For 1 week he is not getting his seat. Now, this is becoming a very important, it is the this type of the experience that will create an employee experience for that particular organization. So, another example is IBM has been developing the design studies, where the project teams of the designers, business architects and the programmers, they can come together to develop the faster, more innovative the client solutions. This physical workplace design that can also impact the employee wellness as the properly designed ergonomics that can reduce the employee stress and the limit of the physical injury is concerned. Now, when we are talking about the total digital capabilities such as the mobile computing and the internet of things have changed the way we access the information and tap into the experts, make decisions and ultimately deliver and the consumer goods and the services. Not only have these new technologies changed where we do our work, they have changed the very nature of the how work gets accomplished. With this greater reliance on the software based tools comes a host of the issues that left the unaddressed, and that can increase the employee frustration and the reduce the productivity. And the design of the physical equipment that houses the software is a key. Is it easy to access and use under daily work conditions? Software designs can also have a lasting impact on the satisfaction and productivity. How easy it is to sign on to a system, how much clicks does it take to get to the right screen, and what is the duration between the screen refreshes are there. So, therefore, in that case this is the two digital capabilities that is may making the sometimes may make these frustration and reduce the productivity, and here that is the that the physical equipments that house where they are making the differences. So, employee expect the frictionless and the intuitive technology, and they want to spend their time doing their work, not figuring and how to use the technology behind it. Finally, do the tools enable users to address the particular preferences of the physical challenge? Given the aging workforce and the desire of the many companies to provide more diverse, the inclusive environment tools that can accommodate potential visual, auditory and mobility challenges are taking, and the greater importance are there. These activities, a major component of the employee experience is the extent to which the individual feel they can influence their work, build mastery and understand their work's overall purpose. A number of factors that influence a successful completion of the work related task, an understanding of how the task fits into the work unit's goals and the larger organization's missions, possession of the relevant knowledge or the expertise, access to the additional information or experts as needed, and availability of the timely feedback either from the managers or the automated systems can significantly shape the employee experience. As Daniel Pink, author of Drive, has noted, the science shows that is the secret to high performance is not our biological drive or our reward and punishment drive, but our third drive, our deep seated desire to direct our own lives, to extend and expand our ability and to live a life of the purpose. The social platforms, increasingly companies are using the internal social platforms to support organizational innovation, expertise location and the knowledge sharing, and to help the employee connect to others across the globe. These social platforms provide a common environment where the employees can find relevant insights. What is more, the analytics derived from the use of these tools that can help identify the hidden pockets of the expertise or the emerging employees moral issues. For a social platform and to truly influence employee experience, a number of issues must be considered. Organizations need to create a critical mass of the users to sustain the necessary level of content and attract other users. Also, they must establish the rules of the engagement that clarify what can be said and how the organization intends to use the data shared to the platform. Leaders need to publicly support the use of this platform and recognize those who make the substantive contributions. When we are talking about the strategy and culture, an organization must consider each of these 6 facets of the employee experience in light of the overall business goals and culture. The business goals and objectives of a software company may be quite different from those of a retailer, while the culture of an entrepreneur startup may differ from that of a large multinational corporations are concerned. For a hospitality company, the need to provide the high quality guest serving may serve as the guiding principle in the design of the employee experience for an all company. The emphasis may be in the occupational safety, clearly defining these underlying these tenets is necessary to designing the experiences that not only match the needs of the individual, but are aligned with the organizational priorities. Likewise, once a company defines the strategy, it must help ensure that the leadership behavior, people practices and the management systems, formal drivers of the organizational culture consistently support the employee experience. Informal practices matter too. If the culture is fear based or these hierarchical, employees may struggle to collaborate on the open social platforms. Now, we will talk about the framework for the experience is concerned. So, here we find that is this Shadov discusses a framework for experience that has 6 dimensions and these dimensions are the significance, duration, breadth, interaction and triggers and intensity. Now, when we are talking about this the significance, that is the meaning, status and identity is there, the emotional or the lifestyle is there, then the price and function is there. So, any experience it is very important, that is whether it is a meaningful experience or not. So, it is what meaning is there for your experience. If you find that is the job which is the you are performing, it is becoming a meaningful job. I would like to give the example of like a pharmaceutical industry, and then the person who was a machine operator and as a worker, he said that is the I am not doing my job, I am serving to the society by making the life saving drugs, and here you find that is he finds his job is a meaningful job is there. So, especially in the healthcare industries, that is this time in the pandemic situation, everyone was feeling that it is not that is they are doing the job, rather than they are serving to the society as a whole. So, therefore, these the job significance. What is the job significance for me? Is it only a status? It is only an identity, or it is there is emotions are concerned with my jobs, or whatever the money or the salary I get for that, or the what functions I do. So, therefore, in that case this become a very important. What is the significance of a job for an individual is there. Now, when we are talking about the duration, so that is the naturally in the job we talk about, that is the initiation is there, then the immersion is there, then the conclusion is there and the continuation is there. So, whenever we are talking about the initiation of a job, then it is important that is what is the immerse is there, and finally, when we are talking about how he is concluding and then his continuation of his job is doing, and it is about the duration of the job. When we are talking about the breadth of the job, then the product, service, brand, name, channel and the promotion price is there. So, all these are making the breadth of that particular job is there. Now, question arises, that is in the experience it is the interaction. What type of the interaction did you have? So, that is whether it was active or passive or interactive was there, and naturally When you are talking about the meaningful job, then you will like to have your job which is more interactive. When we are talking about the intensity is there, that is a reflex, habit, and the employee's engagement is concerned. Now, related to these capacities, we will talk about the transformation model is there, that is about the strategy, culture, system, structure, core processes, and very important is the leadership is there, and what environment you are giving. As we have seen, that is it is becoming the physical environment also plays a very important. It is a culture environment also and the physical environment also, and that will lead you to give the results are there. So, therefore, in that case those strategies which are implemented at the workplace under a given environment, and that will give you the results. When we are talking about the influencing the employee experience, the 5 practices are very important: personalization, transparency, simplicity, authenticity, and the responsiveness is there, and these organizations are using to create more effective experiences are there. So, when you are creating a person fit, so therefore, in that case the experience of the employee, that will be very high, but what is required is that is the decision making process. The decision making process should have the transparency, and for both the employer and the employee, when there is a transparency is there, so they will work with very highly simplicity, and these activities and information to streamline the experience are there, and these aligns the experiences to the organization's culture and value systems. These responsivenesses allow both employees and employer to share information, and they modify the action is there, which will give the ownership also. So, when we are talking about this personalization, it is from a social perspective on, and in with the unique characteristics of the individuals, and they will like to collaborate with others, and the HR system as well as data on individuals self identified interest will be there. At the physical level, this could empowering the individuals to configure their work areas to match both their work requirements and their personality tests are there. So, National Australian Bank recognized the need for the personalization as it looked to the accommodate the individual with the disabilities in an effort to increase its labor pool. Now, the one of them the 4 target banks in Australia serving 12.7 million people, it developed an action plan to increase recruitment of the people with these disabilities and make all branches sites accessible and foster an inclusive culture. The bank also created a dedicated team of the accessibility consultants to support employees with the disabilities from the recruitment onward. Now, when we are talking about the transparency, are looking to gain a greater understanding of what goes into their food, clothing, other goods and services, and they are also seeking to understand their own organizations working, and they want to know how their efforts contribute to their large goals are there. And these social platforms give the individual a forum to raise the concerns, contribute these innovativeness, ideas, and maintain an ongoing dialogue with the leadership is there. Now, these leaderships, the social platforms that will work using the Internet of Things to their collaborative patterns and interaction with the customers are there. Companies such as the Humanize are collecting the people data that is from these geolocation systems, the social signals, and the face-to-face interaction with the wearable electronics sensing budgets. These collected data, which is the anonymous and aggregated, can help organizations align internal metrics, adjust structure and resources, and these identify the operational gaps. So, one organization that is have focused heavily on the building the organizational transparency is Click, a technology company, and that provides the commercialization, digital marketing, and the e-learning services to healthcare and other specialized industries. So, Click created an internal proprietary enterprise which is operating system called this genome that harnesses being big data and social and technologies to deliver a personalized and the engaging work experience. So, Click collects and shares the team member performance, project management, and other information, and can make the data anticipate the potential employees needs. So, it can then provide the output in various ways from the individual feedback to continuously updated scorecards, and the personalized genome dashboard is there. So, And finally, when we talk about the simplicity, so many individuals in the large organizations struggle with the two forces that make the flow of work increasingly challenging. On the one hand, the years of mergers, acquisition, technology changes have turned their work process into the very convoluted set of procedures and regulations, and that contribute to the frustration and poor customer responsiveness. So, at the same time, organizations are bombarded by the new sources of data and information. Data are often conflict and lack the necessary context to improve the decision making is there. So, even simple activities are there, the simplification efforts, the recovering the non-value add process steps, providing the earlier access to the knowledge bases of the changing the way information is displayed, and then can create a more positive work environment is there. Now, when we are talking about the authenticity are there, so here it is becoming this design and the corporate that is a culture and the value systems. So, design of the corporate headquarters and the local offices to be established to corporate events. So, in his 2000 books, the best place to work author, a psychologist Ron Friedman notes that organizations should consider how well their workplace design reflects the corporate culture and brand. So, he suggests organizations first claim a particular characteristics, but a fall to follow through the in their interior design that come across as the inauthentic to employees whose impression inevitably to trickle down to its clients is there. So, Cliff Bar and Company, that is a maker of the nutritious and organic foods and drinks, mirror its commitment to a healthy lifestyle in its corporate environment. The importance of the employee involvement and the wellness is reinforced through weekly all hands meeting, and data employees lead and start with a free healthy breakfast where employees are encouraged to socialize and connect. Some wellness benefits include the on-site massage, acupuncture and fitness training is there. The last practice of the employee experience is that is the responsiveness is there, that is the feedback is quickly becoming the ubiquitous in our consumer and the professional lives. Not only do individuals want to provide input into their working environments, they expect the companies to respond to their ideas and concerns, as we highlighted in the Amplifying Employees Voice, a previous IBV study. By embracing the employees' willingness to engage, organizations can work more effectively with an increasingly vocal and dispersed workforce. They can also gain these valuable insights from the sporting warning signs to making the garnering the innovative ideas based on information employees share every day. So, organizations can then turn these into sites into the actions to the here the improve the organization knowledge, productivity and the performance, and to deepen employees engagement is there. So, companies are beginning to incorporate the responsiveness into their ongoing performances, and that is a software gives individuals the opportunity to provide feedback to others within the organization via mobile and provide them with the rewards for their contribution. The software delivers the immediate, direct and the visible insights to employees and the leadership, and generates a high volume of transaction that can provide data on relationship productivity and the organizational line interdependence. Companies are also gathering this input about these individuals' perception of the environmental conditions are there. So, how these the influencing employees, there is a Crowd Comfort, a startup company in the Somerville, Mass, focuses on the facilities management through the sensor networks. It developed a mobile app that the crowd course information from the employees about the building inefficiencies and environment preferences. Employees can report issues on the demand from anywhere on the company's campus. Information is visible to all employees. They are resulting actions that data by the management, facilities, staff and the others are there. So, now we will talk about designing the employee experience in our organization. So, first is most is the tune into the voice of these employee using the analytics, and here the subject of the employee experience may suggest the softer description of the employee culture and the perceptions, but enhancement efforts should start with the analytics. So, our organizations can apply similar techniques to gauging an employee experience are those who use to measure and evaluate the customer experience. So, traditional employees HR information, semi-structured engagement engagement, surveys and unstructured comments from the internal and external social platforms can provide these insights into the potential evolution to the experience challenges are there. So, even the internet of the things that can generate data about working conditions and the personal wellness is there. So, analytics can help you develop insights about these specific segments of the population, identify the changes in physical and social environments, amplify employee voice and address issues associated with the productivity and the tool uses are there. So, normally the organizations will making the investment in the key touch points where the employees experience has these greatest impact and difference for the employees and the organizations as a whole. For some companies, particularly those in traditionally labor intensive industries, recruiting and onboarding processes have a significant impact on the attracting and retaining the top talent is there. These organizations they depend on the recruiting the experiences that reflect on the employer brand are able to rapidly absorb employees into the working environment for the other components experiences related to the project assignment and the career development will now that is a more notifiable impact retention and the productivity. Understanding these relevance at different stages then you come to know that is employees experience and taking into consideration that is your organization strategy and culture will help you the target investment in those areas that are the most impactful are there. Whenever we are talking about the building an employee experience correlation and it crosses the traditional silos are there. So, therefore, it makes easier for employees to perform those jobs. The facilities and the real estate services are vital to developing the workplace that enables individual productivity and the collective innovations. Marketing must help amplify and communicate in the connection between the employee and corporate brand charm and performs the most importantly the leadership at the line of the business are there. So, employees experience that cannot be delegated to a specific supporting organization, rather it needs to be the woven into the very basic fabric of your this business is there, and this is opening and to making these encompassing the employee experience as well. So, when we are talking about designing the employee experience using rapid these interactions, then the principles are the that stages of the employee journey highlighting of the physical, social and task related interactions that occur at the each stage as well as approaches for the addressing the limitations or the bottlenecks are there. So, these develop solutions that solve parts of the puzzle over the short time and periods rather than this creating one larger solution that take months or years to execute. Finally, this culture feedback and they refine the original solution on an ongoing basis, applying these principles to the design of the employee experience and that can generate quick success and prevent the target more costly challenges in the future is there. So, how can organization design improve the employee experience is there? As the technology here the continues to power fluid ecosystem of the permanent and the contracted talent working side by side or the remotely anywhere the world, the task of the redesigning the entire employee experience that cannot be the put on hold. So, from activity pursuing these greater diversity of thought to rewriting the corporate communication to foster a sense of belonging among these disparate groups, then pioneering the organization are already they are driving the charge across the globe. So, HR leaders can help their organizations to design a better employee experiences by managing the new employee ecosystem, communicating the corporate values and creating a sense of belongingness is there. This is a research paper sense making at work and the meaningful work experiences for the individuals and the organization. The purpose of this paper is to take a closer look at the concept of meaningful work experience for individual and organization and discusses the role of the sense making in the creating it is there. This is the finding of the paper that job crafting is a sense making tool enabled by empowerment by the individuals to make the sense of the internal environment of the organization, and the strategy crafting a sense making tool enabled by organization learning for organizations to make the sense of these external environment of the organizations are concerned. So, this paper has attempted to converge the macro and macro level concepts by bringing together individual and organizational level variables into a joint discussion. It places the job crafting and strategy crafting in the context of the sense making theory, and it reinforces the idea proposing the model, and that will consider the multi-level implications of the organizational research. This is the book recommendations, that is a mapping experience, a complete guide to customer alignment through journeys, blueprints, and the diagrams are there. And the author of this book is, that is a James Calbeck, and the customers who have inconsistently experience with the products and services are understandably frustrated, but it is worse for the organization that cannot be the pinpoint the cause of these problems, and because they are too focused on the processes. The updated book shows that your team how to use the alignment, then these diagrams to turn valuable customers observations into the actionable insight. With this powerful technique, you can visually map these existing customer experience and these envision future solutions. Designers, products and brand managers, marketing specialists and the business owners, and discover how experience that is diagramming the helps you determine where the business goes and the customers perspectives that intersect. So, this will be making the armed with this insight you can provide the people you serve with the real values are there. So, this will be helping you to facilitating in the increasing the becoming the part of these mapping efforts, and shifting the focus from a deliverable to the actionable, and explore the ways to apply the mapping of the all coins to the non-commercial settings such as the helping victims of the domestic violence. These are the references. Please make the detailed study of these references, which will give the insight about these employee experience, and then what are the different dimensions which are affecting the customer experience and the employee experience are there, and you will be able to create a very positive experience of your employees at the workplace, and simultaneously a very positive note with this the customer experience also. Thank you.